Hello, once again I am Tyler Adams, and I am doing my second vlog on Chapter 2. This chapter is about the structure of games and the elements that make them up. So, for this vlog, I am doing it on The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So, this chapter is about the many parts of a game that come together to make the game as a whole. All the parts are necessary to have the finished game, and without them the game isn't nearly as good or existent or playable. But anyway, I picked the Legend of Zelda series because one of the main parts of the game is the premise, but another main part is the story. And looking at the two, Legend of Zelda has a set premise which goes through the entire series, as you are a green-clad hero with a sword who has to save Hyrule. And the story in each game can be completely different. Let's take Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks and Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Completely different storyline. But the premise is still the same. You're still wearing green, you still have a sword, and you still have to kill things. And explore. But mostly kill things. Anyway, there are also some base elements that make up a game. The procedures. In Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, you have to use the control as an interface to direct your character, fight things, find things, and some of the other actions in the game. The Legend of Zelda is good about this because the controller interface is neat and simple, but there's still tons of procedures you can do. It's reflected throughout the many items in the game with the ball and chain, and the sword, the bow and arrow, the claw shot, and the many other items, as they're all separate procedures, but they run a simple control interface. See, anyone could pick it up and figure out how everything works without much problem. Another element of the game is the resources, and the items I just mentioned would also fall into that category, since you can't run around and have people give you claw shots left and right. Then you'd have like the quadruple claw shot, and you'd be able to like fly or something. But anyway, resource management is important because most of the temples are designed so you can get to a certain point without the item that's hidden in the temple. Basically, you can get to the item but no farther, so then once you get the resource in the temple, you can move on and complete the temple, and it's almost necessary to defeat the boss. I think it is actually necessary. Other elements are conflict, which is in Twilight Princess between you and Ganondorf, or more immediately you and Zan, and even more immediately you and the monster who's trying to kill you. And there are other elements such as boundaries, which is basically Hyrule. Another thing that I like about the Legend of Zelda series is huge game world. Hyrule is usually gigantic. I mean, like Canada gigantic. Like probably bigger gigantic. But anyway, Legend of Zelda does not have Canadians, so it's not Canada. But anyway, I'm just going with that. There are boundaries in the set coding where you can and can't go. You can't fly, so you can't go over the mountains that encircle Hyrule, and which have a set solidity in the coding, so you can't go through them. So you're effectively trapped within the massive game world. And the boundaries are not presented to you as saying, you can't go here. It's saying, I'd like to see you try because we made it so you can't, but we're not going to tell you that. Other elements is the outcome. Link wins in the end, and if you didn't know that, you're kind of behind. But anyway, Link does beat Ganondorf in the end, and it's an uncertain outcome. You really don't know. Well, actually, you probably do know that you're going to win eventually, but it's fine. It's the journey, not the end result. So as you're running through Hyrule, you're uncertain if you're going to die or not. So the outcome of the game is uncertain, but it gets resolved in the end. There's also a challenge, and that's certainly evident in the Legend of Zelda series, since I still haven't beaten Ganondorf yet. But anyway, I'll get around to that eventually. I've gotten endorsed. But anyway, to get back to the point, Legend of Zelda has a lot of challenges in this game, which are usually multifaceted. Sometimes you have a puzzle, sometimes you have a fight, sometimes it's something so unusual I can't even think of it right now. Haha. Anyway, the challenge is a part of the Legend of Zelda experience, along with some other elements. There's also I talked about. There's also the character, and there you have Link, who can turn into a wolf now, and have an imp ride you. I think Min is an imp. I don't really know. More like being of Twilight, which would be a more accurate description. But Link is a set thing throughout the entire series. See, I'd like a time. I want to see what these people in Hyrule are being taught in history class. Like every 500 years or so, some guy in green named Link shows up and kills Ganondorf. So like, I think their test must be easy. Anyway, the story for Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is that Ganondorf is the 6 sages try and steal Ganondorf in the realm of Twilight, but he gained the Triforce of Power, so he isn't sealed in Twilight, and basically he finds Zant, gives him power, so Zant takes over Twilight and spreads Twilight to the real world, and eventually Link has to defeat Zant, release all the Twilight, and kill Ganondorf, basically. And well, oh yeah, the sum of all these parts, you end up with a great game. And there's a saying that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and that's definitely true, since killing Ganondorf is not plus puzzles, plus challenge, plus Link, plus premise, plus everything equals an awesome game. Yeah, I suppose I have nothing else to talk about right now, so I guess I'm going to end the blog.